As far as Virat is concerned, Virat was driven with the fact that India had to improve
Okay.
their performances overseas.
Okay.
Because in India, we knew that whether anybody is there or not, with all due respect to the opposition, if you come to India, India is winning 75% of the time. You'll really have to play poorly
Right.
to lose in India.
Right.
Because that is the skill that and the talent that we possess. So
Right.
it's basically the challenge of winning outside.
Right.
So I think that is where Virat's contribution has been massive in terms of one identifying that okay, we are going to play with 5 pure bowlers.
Yeah.
Wherein the batsman will have to take extra responsibility.
Right.
But we make sure that we dismiss the opposition twice.
Right. Right.
No matter what.
Right. Right.
So you still give yourself the chance to win
Right.
away test matches.
Right.
And you sort of, when you think of away test matches, you have to depend a lot on your fast bowlers, right bowlers
Right.
being in the prime shape,
Right.
who can bowl fast
Right.
and who can intimidate as well. So
Right.
I think we did that really well to an extent.
Right.
What was the missing link is that some of the test matches that we should have won, we always felt that if there was slight depth in our batting lineup, we would have probably won more test matches during that phase.
Right. Right.
Which was the case once India went to Australia the second time around, when we beat them the second time around.
Right.
Actually, the lower order contribution was tremendous, like Washington Sundar or Shardul Thakur.
Right. Right.
And I think that all-rounder who could bowl and bat
Right.
was the missing link, which the team realized that they went into that direction, and they also won test matches.
Right.
So
Right.
I think looking back, that phase of Virat Kohli, or very similar to what Saurav Ganguly's phase was also,
Right.
since 2001 to maybe 2004-05,
Right.
wherein the onus was on wanting to win test matches abroad.
Right.
So
Right.
I believe that broadly, different methods.
Right.
Maybe everybody wants to do or achieve that.
Right.
But I think some methods work and some didn't.
So I think no one is ever going to forget what Virat Kohli said in the team talk in the second innings of the Lord's Test match. 60 overs, they should feel like hell out there. I think that is something that, us as young individuals, we look at Virat Kohli's aggression, and that is something that, they get, I would say, inspired by to see such a player who's so passionate about the game, and at the same time producing results as well. So correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think Virat Kohli's aggression in some way led to India seeing one of their successful test tenures under him?
It was his personality, and
Right.
I'm glad that he stood by his personality.
Right.
Because you want to be the guy that you are, actually.
Right.
Because cricket, when you're out there on the field, it
Right.
reveals your character. You can't conceal it.
Right.
No way.
Right.
Under pressure, your basic nature or your subconscious has to come out.
Right.
You can't control emotions.
Right.
And that's where I think he gave a lot to the team.
Right.
He sort of, he himself achieved enormous levels of fitness. He challenged his physical limits to the hilt.
Right.
He worked the hardest.
Right.
I think he scored the maximum runs that during that period as a captain. And he had that drive.
I mean, so considering we are talking about Virat, you and Virat Kohli has, talked about this, that you have played a massive role in his career and you have worked closely with him. So I want to ask two questions with regards to Virat. What does he do? Like, because we've seen so many interviews, we see people talking about he does the same thing morning, evening, and it's just a pattern that he keeps following. And I also want to talk about whether there were conversations that you had with him during his down phase, which probably was around 2020, 2021, where he wasn't getting the runs that he usually is capable of. So what were the conversations that you were having with him for him to get back to his prime, the Virat Kohli that we know? And how is Virat as a person? Like, how is he?
I think Virat as a person is extremely dedicated to the craft that he wants to excel at. He is extremely open to inputs.
Right.
So there were occasions wherein even before going out to bat, if he had to check on something or if I felt something differently, maybe between a break, he would immediately apply it. So I think that adaptability he was open to that. And it is his greatness actually to acknowledge whatever little contribution that I made to his career at that point in time. But we certainly forged a a strong bond between both of us.
Right.
And I think during that phase, even though if I was not part of the setup that you were mentioning about the 2020-21,
Yeah.
it is humanly impossible to sustain at the level which he was playing between 2014 and 2019.
Right.
That dip had to come.
Right.
Because when you play with that sort of a passion, so if he's batting and you were scoring some daddy hundreds at that time,
Right.
there was a time wherein he said to me that he hasn't made any double hundred.
Right.
And after a while, he realized that there is a process to which he can make double hundreds.
Right.
And once he achieved it, once he tasted it, I think he had 4 or 5 double hundreds in one season.
Right. Right.
So that was all possible because of his extreme desire to do well and test himself. So out on the field, he was giving a lot.
Right.
Within the changing room, he was giving quite a lot. And Indian cricket is a 24/7. Captaincy of an Indian cricket team is a 24/7 job. And it is not only related to on-field things that happen, but a lot of off-field things, selections, non-selections, team performance.
Right.
So it does take a toll. And that's where I feel that him giving up captaincy at that point in time meant that he's now playing with lesser responsibilities. I'm not saying lesser responsibilities on the field, but lesser responsibilities off the field. And even though I personally feel that he should have continued slightly for longer as a test captain.
Okay.
Because he probably captained India in 65 test matches.
Yeah.
And one of the things I feel is that he could have probably continued as a test captain for a longer period.
Right. I mean, so that is, I think, every person's wish. We could have seen Virat as test captain.